with these enlightened spiritual types that go around telling people like namaste, namaste, meditating and yoga and all that stuff, they act in the exact same way as these people that they claim to be so closed and you need to loosen up, you need to be more at one with the world. But then the second they're questioned on the animals, they become exactly the same as those people that they talk about in that way, like, oh, you need to do yoga, you need to do this, do what I'm doing, you'll feel so much better. Do you get what I'm trying to say here? It's a hypocrisy. Hey, it's David Ramz. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another video. And today we have a bit of a different video because we have a special guest. This is Рико.
Hi guys, how are you?
And I asked Рико to do a talk with me, a discussion. You could call it an interview, but I don't think we're going to be that formal because I've recently been posting a few videos about people like Sadhguru, Eckhart Tolle, and a lot of people are rightly pointing at me and saying, hey, wait a minute, but you're not even a spiritual person. You don't understand what Eckhart is saying. You don't understand Sadhguru. That's what it is. It's that's the reason that you're calling him out for being a hypocrite. And so I started to keep an eye out for people like in the spiritual circles. Well, I found somebody that had not just the same viewpoints, but more different ideas and views on these things than me. So why don't you give us a quick introduction about like who you are, what you're about.
I'm a life coach and spiritual healer. I'm a yoga teacher and also musician. So I do a lot of work for the spiritual community, also on YouTube, and I share all my experience since the last 10 to 15 years, especially for spiritual seekers. Most baffling things in this spiritual community was the topic of veganism, because there's a huge controversy which is going on forever, and it's when it comes to the topic of meat eating or eating animal products.
You are a vegan, obviously. You made that clear. You're just talking about veganism. You are.
Yes, absolutely.
Awesome, cool. I'm getting a lot of shit right now because I say to people very openly, people like Sadhguru, people like Eckhart Tolle, I have specifically called them out on my channel and said, you are not lightly fucking hypocrites. I've not even said like, oh, you might be a hypocrite. I've directly said, I've even said, f this guy, you're a hypocrite about Sadhguru, and that really pissed people off. That video got removed from YouTube because of a copyright claim they made against me, and I'm currently in like legal proceedings to get it back on YouTube, but it will come back. He won't silence me, he won't succeed. But my point is that I truly believe anyone out there preaching compassion, trying to do like helping others like you're doing, life coaching, spiritual life coaching, all these kinds of things, like, preaching all these things. I truly believe that if they are, it's not a belief, if they are still condemning animals to this, other animals to this violent, horrific life, right? Where they're only being condemned to this for taste, convenience, pleasure, all these different things, then I hold the point that they are not spiritual people. The main reason I wanted to talk to you, because as a vegan who is way more involved in the spiritual world than me, if we have, let's have a look here. If we have like, this is 100% spiritual person, right? And over here is like 100% super, let's say, atheist, right? Okay. I'm somewhere like here. I'm not completely closed-minded to the spiritual side of things. I listen to Sam Harris from time to time. I watch spiritual speakers. Like, I'm interested. I find it interesting, but I wouldn't say I buy into it, right?
Yeah.
You're probably more to this side, I would guess. Well, obviously,
yeah, like 80%.
Yeah, okay.
So to say.
So this is why I wanted to bring you on, because obviously I know where I stand and people know where I stand, and I've upset them already. But I wanted to get your perspective on what I've just said, basically.
I'm very sensitive to energies, and I listen to 3 to 4 videos of them, and I think you hit the sweet spot in most of them, because ahimsa, if you're a yogi like Sadhguru, he claims to be a yogi, and if you're a yogi and you understand ahimsa, which means non-violence, you should not be able to close your eyes what's going on in the world. Right now with YouTube and all the documentaries that are on the market right now, we are able to educate ourselves, and we are not just able, we also have the duty to educate ourselves. Because it's such a big thing today in the world to keep on this animal slavery, because together with the animal slavery, and now we come to the spiritual part, comes also at the same hand-in-hand human slavery. As long as we are able to treat an animal like this, we are also able to treat a human like this, because actually there is no border between animals and humans. We are animals that talk to each other in front of a camera, but actually we are not so much different, and we see this in the world. So if there is a spiritual leader and he is not aware of it, which might be if he really sits in the cave for the last 20 years and has no access to the internet, God forgive him. He might be fine if he has his private goat there and he does not harm to it.
Yeah.
It might be different. But someone like Sadhguru, for example, or Eckhart Tolle, who have access to internet and who meet maybe millions of people on a day-to-day life and have so much conversations, they got in touch with the topic, of course. Many of them, they try to avoid it because it's very inconvenient to change the lifestyle. They're already very settled since the past 20, 30 years maybe, and now suddenly there comes a new generation with new informations, with an update, and they say, okay, let's do the next step in our spiritual evolution. I call this spiritual evolution. Let's not just be vegetarian, let's become vegan. If you pray or if you praise ahimsa, which really means non-violence, there is no excuse. And we were in a yoga school where we had discussions with many yogis, and we were demanding at least vegan milk because they had this ghee thing going on in the cow milk. And we said, come on, we do yoga here. You teach us all the philosophy and all the principles of yoga and a yogic diet. And let's give also Ayurveda an update, because there is even the possibility of a vegan Ayurveda. It's not impossible. It's just we need to extend our mind with all this mantras going on, all this prayer work, all this yoga work, which is a boom. We not just can cash in because cashing in is easy, and all topics which might not sell so good, we avoid. This is hypocrisy, of course. We need to do these videos to reach more people, especially in the spiritual community, because we have a responsibility as kind of this leading edge of mental evolution, of spiritual evolution, of heart chakra evolution.
Supposedly.
Yes.
It's supposed to be, right, isn't it? When you become a spiritual, practicing spiritual, you're supposed to be open. You're supposed to
so much about love and
Exactly.
heart chakra. So how can we see if a cow is raped? So all these mother individuals in the animal industry, they get raped, that we get their products. So how can we say it's fine if we rape a mother cow, or if we rape a cow to get milk, or even if we rape the chickens, because all these products come from females. So the egg is laid by females. Yeah, if you understand this, even if you have the pig, the mother who gave birth.
It's all from exploiting and terrorizing the female reproductive system. Your Buddha's mantra was, may all beings be happy, right?
Exactly.
And then you look at the Bible and it's thou shalt not kill, and then you look at the Quran and it doesn't say sacrifice animals, it says sacrifice something precious to you. You know, we take all of these ideas, right? These beautiful ideas, Bible's good ideas, like thou shalt not kill. We take the Quran's good ideas of like, you should sacrifice something once a year, because it helps you improve yourself by sacrificing things that you care about. And then Buddha's idea, may all beings be happy. And what do we do to them is we just destroy them. We turn them into these disgusting human-centric perspectives that completely deny any other animals of any goodness, and we just make it all selfish, don't we? Like humans just make it all about humans. And that basically, the definition of this, if you want two words for it, it's called human supremacy. That's exactly what it's called. It's taking ideas, taking these things that quite clearly, especially in the case of Buddha, for example, that's the most clear case of this, I would say. May all beings be happy. Maybe back when Buddha was around, they didn't know about nutrition, maybe, or they didn't know about dairy and how we didn't need it. So yeah, Buddha was drinking dairy, but he was not eating meat, and that is crystal clear. His message is crystal clear that it includes animals. But how many Buddhists do you meet who completely reject the idea that it includes animals? Because I've met a lot. There are entire Buddhist communities that eat meat. There are Buddhist monks that eat meat. Their excuse, have you heard about this? Their excuse for eating meat is that if someone brings it to them, they can't reject it. So, do you know what they do? Like, I don't know if you've heard about this, I'm dead serious. In Thailand, they tell people, bring me meat, and then I can't reject it, so I can eat it. They literally ask people to bring it, secretly, kind of like, it's not public, it's kind of like underhand, it's kind of like, oh, well, if you bring it, I can eat it. It's mental. These are monks. These are supposed to be the top of the, let's say, Buddhism, the most enlightened. So is it any surprise that if a Buddhist monk is going against the words of Buddha, is it any surprise that people like Sadhguru and Eckhart Tolle are going against the true nature, which is ahimsa, which is, if you're truly in touch with the world, right?
Absolutely.
That's what you would live like, isn't it? You would live avoiding all violence, not just the violence to humans.
Yes.
You would live avoiding all of it. Incredible. This is why I think it's so necessary to call out these hypocrisies, so that people don't follow these fake leaders, because that's what they are. They're fake leaders. The Buddhist monks that eat meat, they're fake leaders. Sadhguru telling people to milk cows, fake leader. Eckhart avoiding direct questions about ahimsa. Fake leaders.
Okay.
They're hypocrites.
Yeah, I met a shaman, and she said, I do a prayer before I slaughter my animal, and so everything is fine. And I said, what is the difference? Do you really think that animal would have died for you? That is, and the next thing is that if you incarnate, or not incarnate, if you eat this flesh of a dead body, I mean, you become a graveyard energetically. So we try to clear our chakras, we try to clear our aura, we do all this meditation, we go into all the spiritual realms, but on the same time, if we have this, let's say, a milk shake and a sandwich with bacon, all this carries energy, a subtle energy. And if we eat it, we incorporate the energy of rape, we incorporate the energy of injustice, we incorporate dead body parts. So it makes us energetically to zombies. Most of the leaders you pointed out, they try to ignore it because they would lose a lot of their following.
Yes.
And I also can see this as soon as you really start to point out the ugly side of the truth, because truth is not always beautiful. Truth sometimes is very painful, but it is necessary. So if you just go for the beauty in the world, it might be sugarcoating.
There's something you mentioned there about the following. Do you know this? There's one famous vegan spiritual leader, let's say spiritual guru. Do you know his name?
No.
Exactly.
Is there some?
Yeah, exactly. That's my point. He exists. I can't remember his name. I think he's based in Thailand. But the point is, you don't know his name, probably because he's advocating for veganism. Like, if you advocate for veganism as part of then you're going to lose followers. There's a reason you don't know his name. There's a reason many people watching this won't know his name, but they'll know Sadhguru and they'll know Toll. But if Sadhguru and Toll started to do what they really should do and tell people stop what you're doing to animals, they're not going to they're going to be as famous.
Yeah, and they have so much responsibility. Actually, if they would use their following in this lifetime to promote this non-violent approach of food, it would be so good.
Of course.
But I also, when I met
they would
Amma,
lose followers though.
Yeah, they lose followers, but what's the point? What's the point in having 1 million followers if they don't get your message? And that is a spiritual war.
Yeah.
So when we see also, again, on this fourth dimensional level, on a spiritual level, so if we go to meditation and we go to this soul plane where we do all this manifestation work, what you see is that actually demons, they feed, even if you don't believe in demons, but negative energies, they feed on the meat-eating system. So as soon as we get rid of all this old school type of eating, like eating dead body parts, eating from other species the milk and raping them, as soon as we would get rid of this, also these negative entities that are hanging around all over the world, they would kind of die because they live from the negative energy of that people. Even if they think they are very positive, they are an incorporation of injustice and violence. What's going on there is a spiritual war, because if we see that millions of people die every day because other people eat dead body parts, it's so barbaric for me. It's so barbaric to sometimes I'm missing the word that spiritual people don't understand it. That they don't get the connection.
Well, they don't want to get it. I think that's more accurate. It's that they get it, but they don't want to. They don't want to understand it, because if they understand it, it means that they have to do something about it, and they don't want to do anything about it. You know, this is the point, and this is why it's so. This is the average person, right? The average person out there, this is how they act, all right? So you meet someone on the street, talk about veganism, they get upset about it, and you know, maybe it's the first conversation they've ever had. They don't like it. They feel guilty, and then maybe they eventually change, right? But what's different is with these enlightened spiritual types that go around telling people like namaste, meditating and yoga and all that stuff. They act in the exact same way as these people that they claim to be so closed and you need to loosen up, you need to be more at one with the world. But then the second they're questioned on the animals, they become exactly the same as those people that they talk about in that way. Like, oh, you need to do yoga, you need to do this, do what I'm doing, you'll feel so much better. Do you get what I'm trying to say here? It's a hypocrisy.
Absolutely. This is the reason why for so many people they need that spiritual leaders. Usually spirituality is the way you do with your own self. So I was never following any spiritual leader because I had the luck that my third eye was opening. And also I see the difference that if people start a vegan diet, this is the good news now for you. All your chakras will open up much more because you get access to a much higher energy information. So your third eye will open and you will get the visions, but you will not be able to open your third eye if you have all the cruelty inside of your system. Because what happens then to many people is the third eye opens up and they just see a freak show of very brutal things. The third eye starts to close and then they can listen to whatever Sadhguru and they don't even understand that he is fooling. I stopped watching Sadhguru when he said, God does not know you. Do you know every grass in your garden? And I said, of course, I don't know any type of grass in my garden, but I'm not God. I'm not the creator. I'm here as a visitor. But of course, my creator, if he is creator, if there's creation, he knows everything because he is everything.
Some good thing he said, right? There's good things that he has said.
He catches people.
Totally, right?
Yeah.
Eckhart Tolle, the same great things he said. Sam Harris, I love some of the stuff Sam Harris says. I've watched people that are like, I've got my scale here and I see this as kind of like woo-woo, like crazy kind of talk. I'm sorry, I don't mean to offend you, but I see a lot of it as crazy. I'm open to it, but I look at it sometimes and I'm like, okay, I can understand this is nice. A lot of stuff you're saying, I'm like, I can vibe that. Like, even though I don't fully buy into it, I can vibe it. But then there's some really, really crazy stuff, right? But I've listened to some of these crazier people and I can still take something from it. So it's not like I hate spiritual people and I have some kind of irrational dislike for them.
It's fake spirituality.
But when people, when they talk shit, when they give bad advice, I'm sat there like, what are you? I mean, I understand giving people advice to like, there's a difference. Bad advice and advice that I don't believe are two different things, right? Advice that I don't believe in would be, for example, I don't know, the talk of chakras and stuff. I don't believe it, but I'm listening to it. I'm interested. It's cool. I like it. I don't believe it for me. Maybe one day I'll change my mind, but I'm open to it. It's not bad advice. You telling me to connect with and open my chakras. You're not telling me to do something horrible, right? You're trying to help me. So I'm like, that's cool. I appreciate that.
It will happen.
But bad advice, like Sadhguru telling people something like that, what you just said, like, oh, God doesn't know you. Do you know every blade of grass in your garden? That's just bad advice. That's a horrible thing to say.
Actually, he gets people dependent from him.
Why are people listening to this guy and taking that so seriously, man? That's so horrible
He's
that he would say
charismatic,
that.
So he is he's kind of that funny guy making spirituality.
They make all those gangster videos about him and stuff like him like shutting people up and stuff, you know. I don't know if you've seen, there's these like Sadhguru gangster moments where he's like, someone says something and Sadhguru like snaps back at them and everyone claps and like, oh, it's so good. And that's not what a guru is supposed to do. That's not even what a teacher's supposed to do. Like, imagine you're in school and one of your students says, I don't agree with you on that, and you like just destroy them with your superior intellect. It makes you an asshole. It doesn't make you a teacher.
Of exclusiveness. So he excluded one, and at the same moment also this is the way of how excluding animals from your party.
Oh yeah.
So this is all goes hand in hand. If you are not able to handle a different opinion, then of course you are also not able to handle a different lifestyle. And animals have a different lifestyle, of course. That's a good point. So different from our lifestyle.
Yeah.
But they have a lifestyle. I see it here in India. Here we have free animals roaming around, free dogs, free cats, free cows, free goats, free chickens. It's amazing to be in touch with the animal kingdom. And it's a kingdom. It's an animal kingdom. And we should really bow down to the animal kingdom. I want to share this with you because it has really something to do with spirituality and veganism. When I was in the days of transition, it might be 2006, I was meditating a lot and I was out in nature and sitting on a meadow and having a nice time. And suddenly, a spirit of a cow appeared to me and started to talk to me. Sounds creepy, I know. Later on, I found out the cow is holy in India because
no LSD, right? You just
it just came to me. It just came to me, really.
That's cool.
And now comes the message. The message comes: we are here to serve you, but we don't serve you as meat. We serve you as teachers, and what we show you is the following: you are able to treat us like this, like a shitty way, like this, because you are also treated like this from another dimensional being. So actually you are in the same position like us. You are also in a cage. It's called planet Earth, and the planet Earth is in quarantine. And right now we see it already with Corona. We see it, the quarantine status. But this was 10 years back, and the cow told me, as long as we have to come here to show you your current prison, you will be a prisoner of that system because there's a species far more developed and he is eating from you. And I asked him, oh my God, what is this? This is crazy. At that time I was vegetarian, and the cow told me, yes, they're eating your emotions, and they especially need your negative emotions to feed on. Now we come back to the slaughterhouse things, and that every cell of a cow or pig or chicken has experienced hell on earth. So it is hell on earth. And this information is inside, and it comes to us and creates negative emotions. We have all the hormones. So what many people don't know, the hormones of an animal is not different to hormones from humans.
Yeah.
And so we have the hormones of pain and fear, and we eat all these hormones, and we got it into our spiritual system.
Cortisol and adrenaline, all those hormones that are released.
And I can sense in the people, if they are meat eaters, they have a very gray, darkish aura, so to say, and they have kind of this tribe of entities always hanging around them, eating from them. As long as you eat meat, you have these entities hanging around you, and they eating you like you eating things from the animals. So in Germany we have the saying, the apple falls not far away from the tree.
Yeah.
You do things that are done to you until you understand it, and then we have a choice, we can change. And I break free from the prison of society in the moment when I became vegan.
You know, it's interesting, something I wanted to touch on this before we move on. There's the story you told about, it's something connected with me in that it sounds like, I think, the way I look at religion and spirituality is that I feel that, especially with mass organized religions, I feel that in their initial stages, maybe there was some kind of, some core to them that made sense, not rationally made sense, but spiritually made sense, right? Yeah. And I think nowadays, no. Christianity, Islam, Jainism, Hinduism, whatever, I believe they're so far away from what they were originally conceived as that they're no longer pure in any way. Like, I don't mean that as in like to upset anyone, but the reality of it is look at what they're doing. Look at what people are doing.
It's called carnival.
Right, it's crazy. But my point is, what you were saying when you're talking about the vision, it made me think of something else, right? You're talking about how, so the cow came to you and said, we're suffering like this because you're suffering like this, and it's kind of like, this is teaching you, I'm here to teach you why, like we're dying to show you that you're suffering, right?
Exactly.
That sounds to me like the story of Jesus. That is literally what happened, right? Really? In the story of Jesus. Well, he came to earth, right? As the Son of God, and then he was ready to be crucified. He willingly let them kill him to show them that I'm dying for you, to show you the errors of your ways. So it sounded like, when you said that to me, I was like, in a weird way, I can kind of like, that's why I'm saying, like, I believe that maybe some of these religions, these mass religions, they started somewhere that kind of like had a message, a good message, but they became something completely. And the fact that you're coming up with this, sat down meditating, and it's eerily similar to the story of Jesus that we're all told in Christianity. And also, I mean, most of these organized religions have some kind of similar story where someone comes, gives a lesson, and is killed for some reason to show us that we are actually being driven by, you said, negative entities. The Bible says the devil. There's always this fight between light and dark seems to be constantly characterized by different things in different circles, but it's more or less the same wherever you look at it, right? Yeah. And it leads me on to the next kind of question I have for you, in that because people have gone so far from the core understanding of whatever religion they follow or spiritual leader they follow who tells them bullshit, basically, they come up with these different excuses to continue hurting animals. And I want to get into this with you. So I'm going to start with the elephant in the room, and it's going to have to be Islam, because of course that's the one that most people know, and most people are going to call us Islamophobic for talking about this, but we're going to get on to other things too. I just want to start with this one. Something that I've heard not just once, a few times, is that a lot of Muslims, especially Muslims working in slaughterhouses, or the ones that do the animal sacrifice, or basically, I don't want to call it animal sacrifice, they slit animals' throats in a tradition, right? So let's call it what it is. And they say that after they say the prayer, they claim that the goat pushes the throat onto the knife because they want to sacrifice themselves. This is not something I'm making up. This is something that's well documented here in India, especially, that they claim this. They really claim this. I mean, how do you even begin to try to, tell someone that's not the case? Like, how and spiritually, they claim that you said earlier, like, oh, if you say a prayer, then it makes it okay. That's happening in the spiritual world, or the, you know, let's say the not traditionally religious world, but it's also happening in the traditional religions too. Like, oh, they want to die.
Everywhere, yeah.
You know, how do we deal with that then? It doesn't have to be necessarily directly about Islam. I was just using that as an example of, you know, people say this. They say the animals want to sacrifice themselves, to the point where some Muslims will say they push their own throats onto the knife.
That's a difficult question, because as soon as it comes to religious beliefs, people get so irrational. Yeah. So you can't argue with them or talk with them, because if the book says so, the book says so, and then the story is ended. So, or the leader says so. And with spiritual people, and there is no difference. We have one Bible, I think. There's one Bible. How many Bibles? It's two Bibles.
Old Testament, New Testament.
Okay, so I call this Star Wars 1, 2, 3. So the first Testament is for the Jews, you know. Second Testament is for the Christians, and the third part actually is the Islam, because they use also number 1 and 2. It's included, and so all three of them, for example, they build up their life on 2 or 3 books, which were written 2,000 years ago, or even more, and. I don't understand it. I understand if you raise in a culture like this, that you might be brainwashed into a belief system, and that you think this is the only way to live. But what I see in all 3 religions, they have many good things, okay? Don't get me wrong, but also I see all 3 of them are very fear-driven. And with the fear, that you invite all types of evil on the long run. So why do they say that the animal is pushing to the knife?
Because they want to be.
They feel guilty. They already feel guilty.
Oh, you mean, yeah.
Yes, they already have this feel of guilt, and so they make up a story. Oh yeah, the animal pushes. Actually, it's suicide by the animal, you know, and so they try to get free from the punishment. Because especially the Muslim, they're praying 5 times a day, and it's not a bad prayer. They're praying to Archangel Gabriel, I think. And they are evoking the God spirit, which includes everything, which is not a bad thing. So they are very in touch with God. So they have to find excuses. Okay. What I found out that many of the Muslims are, if you talk to them and you tell them, okay, you know, I can have meat, they will be very happy to prepare your vegan food. And also what many people don't know, that most of the people in the world, they don't have even access to animal food. So
absolutely.
Many Muslims, they made me vegan food without a discussion. If I would come to a German family, they have this discussions, oh come on, have this sauce with milk.
Oh, for sure. Like, there's no doubt in my mind. I mean, I think we need to maybe clarify that. There's absolutely no doubt in my mind about that at all. I've met many Muslims here in India, had many conversations with Muslims that I've never met a Muslim that has told me that I should eat meat. They never try to convince me not to be vegan, but they will definitely defend what they believe is their rights to eat animals. Whereas back where we're from, and then the cultures we're from, and you know, people, especially people just from where we're from, Europe, they will spend a good amount of time convincing you to not be vegan. You know what I mean? They'll try everything in the book to try to stop you from being vegan.
Because also they feel guilty already. And they need a crowd to hang around with to feel safe.
Whilst we're on the topic, it's not just Islam that has animal sacrifice. Hinduism has animal sacrifice. Christianity has animal sacrifice. If you don't think Christianity has animal sacrifice, it does. Thanksgiving, Christmas, Easter, they have all this animal sacrifice. So I only picked the Islam Muslim because Eid is coming up. Well, it depends when we release this, but Eid has either happened already or is about to happen, depending on when I post the video. But let's be fair. Let's talk about it's mainly Christians let's talk about Christians that say this. So a lot of Christian people, they say that the animals put here for us, and that means that I have a right to do this, or especially Christian hunters, they tend to go a step further and they say, I have an experience, I have a bond. It's hard to explain. They almost get spiritual when they talk about this stuff. And there are spiritual Christian hunters, or just spiritual hunters, let's say. They don't have to be Christian necessarily, but it's usually related to Christianity, where they say like, God put that animal here for me, and then when I go out there and kill that animal with my bow and arrow or my gun, and then I go and hold them and they die in my arms, and I know, I can just feel that they were happy in that moment, happy that they were going to give me the nutrition that I can get from them. And it's a beautiful bond, and it's very spiritual, and they go through all of this nonsense, right? So as a fellow spiritual person, what are you going to say to these people who claim that this is spiritual? How can you talk to them?
Yeah, for me, this is absolutely sugarcoating. And also we call this luciferic light. This is a type of a false light. So it makes you feel very well because you have a perfect excuse, even a spiritual excuse, but your ego is actually so blown up. And what I mean with false light, of luciferic false light, is that they try to justify it. And here comes a big thing. We are living not 1620, we are living 2020. So in 1620, I would maybe agreed and said, okay, yeah, what to eat else? It's winter, there's the deer. Okay, but guys, stop this romanticizing of our past, because you are not living in 1500, 1400 in a forest. Most of you live in a city, and if you get your gun in the car, you go out of the city to a forest to shoot the animal. But you can get all the vegan products worldwide, even here in India. We have no supermarkets here, but we are so easy able to eat a vegan diet with lentils, beans and everything. You get it everywhere. A hunter like this, also with the shamans, it comes. I was in a shaman group and I was shocked that they are so into meat eating, and they have the same sugar coating. And when you confront them that we live 2020 and that they decide to go to the forest to shoot an animal, and that is actually hunting, and they don't do this for their survival, they do this for fun. And if you think it's fun to kill an animal, you missed something in your education. Sorry, it's the animal dies and it has pain, and if you don't believe me that it's painful to die if you get shot, then just take your hand and shoot yourself in the hand. You will not gonna die from it, but just to get an experience of how it feels to get shot. So if you think this animal will love you because you shot it, sorry, this is luciferic light, because we have two evil entities battling over planet Earth. This is the dark force, the painful thing, the torture thing, and also this is the light, too much light, false light. Yeah. And this is what they do, what they actually do. They try to explain it that, I see the soul even, but what they do is they just have a pure excuse for their brutal behavior.
Rationalizing it.
Rationalizing.
It's almost, it's like what we said earlier, and for me to bring more like a I don't know, a comparison, let's say, an example to what would say, nobody wants to be associated with white supremacy, right? Let's be clear on that. I'm going to make a full video on this, but I want to get this in there now because nobody wants to be associated with it. Most people hate it, and if they are pro white supremacy, they're too ashamed to tell you, right? They wouldn't tell you, and because rightly so, they would be, I don't know what I would do if someone told me like, hey, I'm a white supremacist. I would be between hitting them and walking away. I'd probably lean towards hitting them because I don't know. I would be very emotional. I find it to be fucking disgusting. It's the
sweet spot then.
It really does. It's one of the most disgusting things. You know, like consciously white supremacist. It bothers me just the same as somebody who is a consciously human supremacist. It bothers me just as much. The problem is, as much as I'd want to give someone a punch for that, it's far more socially acceptable, so I'd probably be more likely to go to prison for it. Because punching somebody who's a white supremacist, you probably get a pat on the back from the police, right? But anyway, that's a completely separate point. My point is that just the same way that white supremacists have used in the past to do horrific things to people of other ethnicities, and they said things like this, right? It's my God-given right to do this to people of other ethnicities. It is, they're less, like, can you not understand? This is their only purpose for me to do this to them. And that is the exact justification that these hunters give, and that these people who are like spiritual give about non-humans. They say, well, this is why they're here. This is, come on, like, I do it in a really nice way. It's what their purpose is. They're lower than me, they're less than me. Now, those sentences that I'm saying now, like, they're lower than me, they're less than me, it's their purpose. You can use that for either white or human supremacy. Yeah. Does the fact that you don't know what I'm talking about, is that not a problem? If I say to you, like, imagine someone just tunes in right now. Let's imagine they've skipped the video until this point, and I say, when people say this, right, some people said this to me, they're less than me, they're lower than me, they're inferior, so I can do what I want to them. I can enslave them, I can abuse them, I can use them to make profits, and I don't need their consent. They wouldn't know if I was talking about white supremacists and slavery, or humans and non-humans. Is that a problem? Is that not an issue? Do you want to be associated with that kind of mindset, right? And this is me, I'm speaking to the logical part of the brain here right now, and I know that this is not most people, never mind spiritual people, most people in general aren't driven by the logic side of things, right? But just for a second, just ask yourself the question, isn't it? Just ask yourself the question, do you want to sound like a white supremacist sounds like when they talk about people who aren't white?
Yeah.
If the answer is no, then you need to go vegan. You don't even have to call yourself a vegan. I don't even care if you call yourself a vegan, but you need to be anti-speciesist and you need to reject human supremacy. Because the longer you keep saying that shit and believing that shit, the longer you sound like a white supremacist.
Yeah.
Like you literally sound the same. And that's me, like I said, that's me talking to the rational side of you, but I think you've definitely covered the emotional side and the spiritual side.
I think that maybe this is my hope, maybe this is my belief. As soon as we would stop this animal products on a global level, we would be able to communicate very clearly with the animal kingdom and as well with the plant kingdom. So this is my belief. I'm not sure if this happens, but it's very likely because I know many vegans, spiritual vegans, who are really able to talk with animals. So we have real telepathic connection, and I see the souls, and there are, for example, the theories that these animal souls come from different planets or stars, whatever. It's not important where they are from, but they are here. And many times I feel that they might be knowing much more than we think.
Even though we're coming from total separate sides of this scale of rationality and emotion and belief and faith and all these different things, we might have different reasons for doing what we do when it comes to the animals, but we still do it because we both see that it's right. Even someone like me, who I'm like, 2 + 2 is 4, and if you say it's 5, that's bullshit. But you're like, sometimes it's 5. But even though we're never going to get to that point where we're like completely in agreement on that, we agree on this. And this is what I want the spiritual people out there who watch this video and are pissed off with me for calling out their leaders. Well, it's not just me. There are people who
You're
are
just a trigger.
I'm just somebody commenting on this. There are people within these communities, such as Рико, who also are saying, no, like, this is wrong. Like, we need to stop doing this to animals. It's not just the people like me who swear and you know, say naughty things about your leaders. It's people who
imagine the peace treaty. Imagine how it would look the world with a peace treaty between human kingdom and animal kingdom. We would not have this catastrophes in the world, because actually the animals are here to protect us. They are, the shamans from South America, they know it. They value the animals, and they know every animal comes with a message to us. We are so detached from nature and life itself that we became like robots, and we rationalize why we eat animals because we can. But that's how people use law of attraction, which you meant with Buddhist people. If it comes to my house, that does not mean, I say always, love over mind, over matter. Because mind can do so many cruel things and rationalize it because of emotions, people using their emotions even as an excuse. But if you put love into the game, real love, I don't mean this love where you burn an incense and you walk around, blah, blah, blah. I mean real, this compassionate love, then you understand the importance that not everything that is possible should be done. We use our free will, but we don't override the free will of a cow or a chicken. Of course not. And if you don't get the point, then sit on your mat, meditate more, and ask your pets. The reason why you have pets is they try to explain you that there is so much more. If you have a cat or your dog, talk to them. Talk to them, and
I'm sure they already do.
They do, but
they're just not in like
also
the way,
listen to them. Listen to them, and your dog or your cat or your parrot will tell you, you know, why do you hurt our brothers and sisters so hard?
You know, there's a great meme, and it said, what would your dog think of you if they knew what you were eating?
Yes.
What would they think of you, right? Or if they knew that you could live perfectly healthily, happily, and you chose to do that, you chose to kill or pay for this violence. Like, what do your dog, your pet, your dog and cat and whatever animals you have in the home would be terrified of you if they knew what you did. But I think we covered all angles, to be honest.
I think so too.
And I would hope that people watched it all the way through. And if you watched this all the way through, if you're here right now and you're at this point, say David and Рико, leave a comment. David and Рико, I watched. Wait, what should the comment be? David and Рико, I watched it till the end. Let's say that. David and Рико, I watched until the end. Leave that comment in the comments if you watched the whole thing, and we'll give you a massive pat on the back. maybe even like I don't know what else we could do online. Maybe we'll both say thank you to you.
Oh yeah, that
like,
would be
really,
amazing.
yeah, it'll mean a lot that you watched it all the
Yeah.
way through, and you'll prove to everyone else that you're a hardcore, like you watch this stuff, you get into it, and that you're there for the long haul, you're a supporter. And these are the ones who only watch like 10, 20 minutes of it, 30 minutes or whatever. Yeah, fuck those guys. Like, you're the best. You watching this right now, you're the best. So
Rock and
thank you
roll.
so much for this.
Thank
it was
you,
really
David.
cool. I think we should shake hands. It's very formal. Let's do it anyway.